People are beginning to realize that electric cars aren't as great as they were hyped up to be. A recent secret report has spilled the beans on the truth about electric vehicles, and it's shocking. Electric vehicles have 5 major problems that nobody warned about, and these issues are causing the electric vehicle market to collapse. Despite government promotion, people are tired of the lies and exaggerations. In this video, I'll show you why you shouldn't buy an electric vehicle right now, and how they're actually a scam. You won't believe some of the things that happen to people who bought electric vehicles, like a guy who had to pay $60,000 for a small scratch on his EV. If you thought electric cars were the future, you're in for a big surprise. This video will make you think twice about electric cars. So stay tuned as we discuss the electric vehicle problem and how the entire industry seems to be a fraud. You might think electric cars are the best thing since sliced bread, but a shocking report from Consumer Reports has exposed the truth about them, and it's not pretty. Electric cars have many more problems than conventional gasoline cars, almost 80% more. Yes, 80%. Electric cars have all sorts of issues that make their owners regret buying one. And if you think that's bad, wait until you hear about plug-in hybrid vehicles, which have even more problems, almost 50% more than regular vehicles. Regular hybrid cars, those that use both gasoline and electricity, are doing quite well. Even gasoline cars are performing very well with a reliability score of 85%, compared to electric cars, 20%. This report is crucial because the government has been trying to make everyone buy electric vehicles. Jake Fisher from Consumer Reports says it's like a growing pain. These cars have issues with their batteries, charging systems, and even the way their parts fit together is causing problems. But before we talk about the 5 main problems you need to know before buying an electric car, let's look at some crazy stories that happen to real people. Imagine this: a small scratch turned into a huge bill. This is what happened to Kyle Z, a guy from Vancouver, and his almost new electric vehicle, the Ioniq 5 2022. Kyle thought he was having a good time enjoying his vacation in Cologne when his electric vehicle started acting strange. The car wasn't working properly, and the weather was getting cold, so Kyle decided to be cautious and tow his car back to the dealership in Richmond. He thought the car would only need a normal service and everything would be fine, but he was very wrong. Mechanics found scratches on the battery pack, that big and expensive part that makes the car work. And here's the worst part. Because of the damage, Kyle's warranty disappeared, and the price to replace the entire battery was enormous, $30,000. Kyle tried to save some money by calling his insurance provider, but the story got worse. The insurance told him it would cost almost $60,000 to replace the battery. $60,000. That's almost $10,000 more than what he originally paid for the car. But that's not the only horror story. Electric vehicles are also costing lives to people recently. And this story involves a sleek and shiny Tesla, those cars that seem to come from the future. It was driving on the famous San Francisco Bay Bridge. The driver was feeling very happy and relaxed. He had the car in full self-driving mode, a feature that Elon Musk, the big boss of Tesla, has been selling as an extra for $5,000. But then something went terribly wrong. The Tesla, supposedly in charge of driving, made a mistake, causing a major accident with 8 other cars on Thanksgiving Day. 2 children were injured and taken to the hospital, and the bridge was stuck in traffic for hours. This terrible accident is just one of many. The driver of the smashed Model S told the police that the car was going at 90 km/h when it changed lanes quickly and stopped, decreasing to 30 km/h, causing the disaster. And that's not all. The U.S. Traffic Administration has linked a surprising 392 accidents to autonomous driving systems and driver assistance in just 10 months, and around 70% involve Tesla cars. These are not small numbers. 273 Tesla cars using autopilot were part of those accidents. Honda cars were involved in 90 accidents, while Subaru cars were in 10. The others included Ford, GM, Volkswagen, and Toyota, which were in around 5 accidents. But now let's talk about plug-in hybrids. These cars are like hybrids, but worse because they have both a gasoline engine and electric propulsion, which sounds very good, but actually means there's a lot more that can go wrong. Consumer Report showed that plug-in hybrids have many more problems. Moving on to the most reliable cars. Compact cars are the winners. And guess which model is the reliability king? The Toyota 4Runner. As for the best car manufacturers ranked by reliability, Lexus is the best, followed by Toyota and Mini. But here's the catch. Not all brands are doing very well. At the bottom of the list, we have brands like Jeep, Volkswagen, Rivian, Mercedes-Benz, and Tesla. Now imagine spending over $80,000 on a luxury electric vehicle that can barely take you anywhere. Sounds like a ripoff, right? That's what you could end up with if you're not careful with these 5 deadly problems that affect many electric vehicles. The first problem is the limited range of cheap electric vehicles. Most electric vehicles costing less than $50,000 can only travel between 250 and 300 kilometers on a single charge. But that's in ideal conditions. In reality, things like driving driving fast, using the air conditioning, and facing cold weather can drastically reduce that range. It's like expecting a bowl full of candies and getting only a handful. The second problem is the poor construction quality of some electric vehicles. Many companies are making sure to manufacture electric vehicles but are cutting corners on quality. There were many reports of Teslas and GM trucks with gaps between panels and noises from the inside. The third problem is software failures affecting some electric vehicles. Volkswagen is the worst culprit here. They've replaced most buttons with screens and touch controls, but they don't work well. Some owners have experienced frozen screens and even total system failures. These software problems are not only frustrating, but also dangerous because they interfere with the car's functions. The fourth problem is the huge range loss in cold climates. Electric vehicle batteries hate the cold. When temperatures drop, the range of electric vehicles can decrease by up to 30%. This is because lithium-ion batteries that power electric vehicles work less efficiently at low temperatures. Plus, using the heater to stay warm drains the battery even more. This problem can be a big headache for those living in cold places. And finally, let's talk about the hottest problem: fire risks. Electric vehicles with their high voltage batteries have been involved in some fire incidents. This problem is exacerbated by the fact that a damaged electric vehicle battery can reignite hours or even days after the first fire has been put out. It's almost like having a time bomb in your garage. But is there any silver lining in this situation? Well, there's good news. Electric vehicles are becoming cheaper. So if you really want to buy one, you might find some great deals after the collapse of the market. But this doesn't mean you should rush to buy one, because we've already talked about the problems with the charging infrastructure. However, if you want to have an electric vehicle as your backup car, you might take the risk if you're willing to deal with problems like fire risks, limited range, and poor quality. All this mess could have been avoided if brands had listened to customers instead of the government. The government gave them incentives to make electric vehicles, but they didn't care about users' needs. Companies like Ford and GM were the first to abandon gasoline cars, and now they're drowning in their losses. The government keeps promising more tax breaks for new electric vehicles, but they're also imposing more emissions regulations favoring electric vehicles. This means that making a car will be increasingly difficult because the government wants 80% of vehicles to be electric vehicles by 2030. And the only way to achieve that is for everyone to abandon and ban gasoline cars. Plus, there are more problems in the world of electric vehicle charging. A J.D. Power report found that people don't like charging their electric vehicles in public. They're less satisfied than ever. It turns out that charging an electric vehicle at a public station can take you a long wait time. But what's wrong with public charging? Well, the United States has been trying to improve electric vehicle infrastructure, but it's like building a house without tools. Last year, they installed thousands of super fast chargers. But guess what? Most of them were Tesla chargers that are useless if you don't have a Tesla. And here's the twist. As people get more electric vehicles, they find out that charging them is not like charging a phone. It's a problem with different payment methods, broken chargers, and long wait times. It's like going to a nice restaurant and finding out you have to cook your own food. But there's a glimmer of hope in this darkness. Tesla's supercharger network, and they're planning to allow non-Tesla cars to use it. But there's a catch. Non-Tesla cars will need an adapter to plug into these chargers. And this is not very convenient. So what does all this mean for the future of electric vehicles? Well, it's not clear. On one hand, we have very advanced cars, but on the other hand, they have many problems that can make you doubt. But in the end, what do you think about having an electric vehicle? Do you think it's worth paying much more than an electric car just to save a few dollars on gasoline? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you liked the video, you know you can leave me a like and subscribe to see more videos like this.